So we got a little bit of a kind of a cool show today, a couple of things to show you. We're going to talk a little bit about a macro trend, and we're going to show you what happens when you actually start telling the truth. And I'm not even surprised that it happened. But anyway, we'll get started today. Decent day today, up 1.37%. But really, we're not looking at the day. If we look at the week, we notice that we're starting to have some upward movement. Ideally, I'd wish it would be like the same scale as the downward movement we had during Delta, but I'm not going to be super picky. We're on kind of the right trajectory. So we went down for Delta, that's what I was talking about. And then we're kind of moving up slowly, which I think is going to accelerate, and you're going to see kind of the what do you want to call it? The angle of the curve, or there's a word I'm trying to think of. That'll kind of rise faster. So. All right, so a couple things here as far as news that went through. Then we're going to get to the kind of stocks and kind of where we're at, what plans we have, and what we're looking to do. And then we will get to really the meat of this, the best part of the video, kind of a couple emails that I got. So first of all, it's kind of interesting. I looked at Bazinga, which is basically Robinhood's little newsletter thing, and talk about Cathie Wood, our favorite person. This is basically the person that's in essence replacing Warren Buffett as the most listened to person out there. For those who don't know, Cathie Wood has a hedge fund called ARK Invest, and everybody listens to her. So she's basically the new Warren Buffett. And I think Warren Buffett's swan song last year was selling the airlines in April, which I saw him do that. And I'm like, dude, you're Warren Buffett. Like, you think you know what you're talking about, but you're selling airlines when they're down. Like, I don't know. It's so un-Warren Buffett-like. So with that being said, she talked about, where is it here? So it talked about some things that they bought. So they bought, let's see, autonomous technology and robotics ETF. We're not going to touch about. But she also bought DraftKings. So the popular investment management firm snapped up 35,900 shares, estimated to be worth about 1.8 million, which isn't that much for Cathie Wood, but still. It's notable that she bought those. All right, let me turn off I'm not going to turn off my email. So that's kind of interesting. So anytime Cathie Wood is doing something, then it's a sign that you're probably in the right direction. But we've been on DraftKings forever. So Cathie, you're welcome. All right. On that note, talking about betting stocks, Bank of America upgrades Caesars Entertainment and downgrades Wynn. Based on Macau concerns, we'll talk about that. So Wynn was down 5% after the stock was downgraded about the lagging casino recovery in Macau. Basically, the big picture is this: China's gone full military lockdown in their country. So if you've ever been to Macau, it's not an easy place to get to. You pretty much have to go to Hong Kong and then take a boat over. It's a very small island. I'm not even sure they have an airport there. If they do, it has to be really small. But basically, the country's in lockdown, so not many people are going to Macau, and that's my guess is why they downgraded it. On the other side, Kelly upgraded Caesars Entertainment from neutral to buy and reiterated his $125 price target. And if we take a look at that, Caesars Entertainment is sitting here at $92.95. Good news is we bought it at $18. So the plan for it to go up to $125, we're going to look at this percentage right here. If it goes up to 125, it takes us up to 600%, which is basically a gain of 600%, which is for every 100 you put in, you got 600 back, so you're actually sitting here at 700 with a $25,000 gain. So that's nice. If that price target goes up, that works perfectly for us. So that's kind of one thing we looked at. And so commonality about sports betting, we're not in lockdown. China is, which is backwards from pretty much the whole pandemic. And that's where you see those upgrades and downgrades. All right. I want to talk a little bit about kind of pandemics. And I was thinking about it, or just, maybe 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. And I was thinking, there's been like pandemics, and the Bible calls it pestilences. And for a long time, there's been yellow fever, cholera, and cholera was around after we started our country. But I wonder if they had any sayings on that, or like what they thought about that. It had to go into it for sure, especially when you found a country based on civil liberties and keeping the government at bay and really, treasuring natural rights, meaning if the government wasn't there and you're just alone, do you have a right to do something? So do you have a right to speak? Well, if you're alone, yeah, you have a right to speak, so you have a right to speak. Do you have a right to privacy? For sure. All these things are out there. So anyway, so there was a letter that I think was, who was it? It was, let's take a look here. I'll just read it again, because I literally read it 20 minutes ago, so I'm not going to tell you that I'm super prepared on this and had it all mapped out, which I did not have. So anyway, since let's read this out here. I thought it was interesting. Since 1789, we've had a First Amendment constitutional right to say what we want, to worship we want, and to peaceably assemble where we want, with whom we want, and when we want. And remember, the government's whole purpose, the whole purpose of the Constitution is tell the government what they cannot do. So it protects us from the government, right? The Constitution was written by very smart men who lived a life in dangerous times. You remember when they signed the Declaration of Independence, it was basically a death warrant if they lost, right? All their farm would be burned, their family would be killed, they would be killed. I mean, everything would be gone. There were no vaccines. The intensive care doctors practiced bloodletting, which, if you remember what that is, it's actually cutting yourself, letting the blood out because they thought you had bad blood. So you want to let some of that bad blood out, and they figured that probably helped heal you, which is crazy nowadays. But then again, 200 years from now, people are going to look at us and say, you guys were crazy, right? And they administered the poison mercury in the treatment for disease. Think about like breaking a thermometer and then like ingesting it. Like, that's crazy, right? That's what mercury is. So, all right. So in 1793, keep in mind, it was 4 years after the Constitution was first put in play. A yellow fever virus pandemic occurred, which killed 15% of our nation's capital. So just think, let's say there's 1 million people in Washington, D.C. You have 150,000 of them died in 1793. And that led many others, including George Washington, to flee. Well, he didn't like George. George Washington didn't like, I mean, it wasn't called really, it was called the District of Columbia at the time. I'm not even sure if they named it Washington, D.C. at the time, but he didn't like being there. He wanted to be home with Martha. So anyway, so led him to flee. Alexander Hamilton was stricken with the disease as well. But it's interesting, one of the things they said here is the people who created our system of laws were extremely personally familiar with the concept of death by pandemic. You remember there was bubonic plague. There's, just a million different diseases and pestilence that they had to deal with going back 1300s, 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, and then obviously after that. But they were very familiar with this, and a lot of times they didn't even know how to deal with it, right? But yet the Constitution does not say our First Amendment rights disappear in case of a virus. It just has no exception for hypothetical governors to make Constitution-defying pronouncements. And then they go on to Gavin Newsom, who is going to get recalled. And if you ever want to see an interesting video, there's if you go and Google Gavin Newsom loses it, he just flips out. And you could tell he's pissed. He knows he's behind the polls. And he knows he's going to get yanked out of office. And part of it, I think he saw what happened to Andrew Cuomo, and he desperately does not want that to happen to him. But he knows it's coming. I live in California. Dude's going. He's going to be out. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting to share with you. Now, another thing I was looking at today, there was an article that came out here, and one of the things that they wrote, who wrote this? I saw this literally 10 minutes ago. So we'll get... So one of the things here, the title of it, What Chases the Unvaccinated Minds? Fear. And keep in mind, we always talk about be fearful when people are greedy and greedy when people are fearful. But you have to understand the media, especially when they don't have Trump or anything going on because it's summer and very few people are home. There was no traffic on the freeways here in San Diego yesterday, which is kind of nuts. They need something to drive ratings. And in their mind, they're saying they know how to traffic in that and get ratings. It's fear. And they're saying, well, what changes an unvaccinated minds? Well, we're in the media. Let's use our number one thing, and that is fear. If it bleeds, it leads, right? So one of the things they say here, the COVID vaccines work to greatly lessen the chance of a person getting a symptomatic case of getting hospitalized or dying. Yet a third of Americans haven't gotten a single dose or more, and 40% haven't been fully vaccinated. What's really interesting is there was a chart where they said that they were looking at people who were vaccine hesitant, and it was basically a U curve. And on this side of the curve were people that they looked at it from education level, least educated to most educated. So no high school diploma all the way to PhD. And one of the things they found, hold on one second. I had to let my dog out. One of the things that they found was that the people who were least educated were highly resistant to getting the vaccine. Maybe they thought it was, they were kind of mocking them a little bit, and they were saying maybe because they thought there was a microchip in it, right? But on the other end, they found that people who were the most highly educated were even more hesitant. And one of the things they found when they looked at it, the reason was because they just wanted to see it play out. They looked at it as an experimental vaccine, and they said, we're not going to take it until it's been proven, it's been approved, and it's kind of just aged well enough so we can see what's going on. So anyway, what does it take to get more people to get the vaccine? One answer seems clear in the polling in the real world. Fear of getting the virus and losing freedoms, like it motivates people to get vaccinated. And so what are our politicians doing? They're threatening you with a loss of freedom. Fauci came out and basically said, yeah, I know you guys want to have freedom, but we need to get past the pandemic. In other words, remember how the Constitution is designed to tell the federal government that you're not allowed to do this, and it protects us from the federal government? Well, he's saying, well, even though I'm in the federal government, I'm going to trample all over your rights and your freedom because we need to get over the pandemic. But yet, if nobody's believing you and nobody's following you, are you really a leader in the federal government? There's a saying that I like to say is there's a difference between being a leader and then just being in the front of the line. And some of these leaders, it looks like that's what they are. They're just in the front of the line. So anyway, what this article talks about was basically just saying that if you were going to get people vaccinated, you just have to drive up and stoke the fear as much as possible. So just keep in mind that as you're watching the news. Now, one thing too that I will share with you is I got 2 emails here, and you'll see here, YouTube removed your video. Now these were the last 2 videos that I posted, and I'm going to be nice today just because I want people to be able to watch this video on a different platform. This was posted on, let's see, which one was this one first? Yeah, so this was the one I did, the second last video, and I was basically literally playing Rochelle Lewinsky, Walensky, and making fun of her because she was crazy. And then when I'm sitting here showing Michelle Walensky, I'll get that right one day, they called, apparently what she said was medical information policy, and they removed the video. So you can't watch it. It's not on YouTube anymore. And we're going to talk about where to get that. And then the next video I posted, same day, was the best advice on masks and vaccines you'll ever see. It was a literally board-certified doctor giving his professional medical opinion that he basically said, I could be a hired professional witness in the event you're getting sued. And I literally just played his stuff and played it for you. And they just called it medical misinformation. Now, who do you think knows more about what's medical misinformation? First of all, the word misinformation is such a vacuous term that, if I asked you right now, what's the definition for that? Most people, you, me, and a lot of people would probably not really know, but we've heard it so much we just assume that it's, false information. But that's not necessarily the definition of medical information. But I literally played him at a school board meeting giving his professional medical opinion to the school board, offering statistics and data, and they called it medical information. So what I call it is censorship, because they don't want you to hear an opposing viewpoint. So anyway, with that being said, if you want to watch these videos, I don't only post it to YouTube, but if you're watching this on Rumble, if you're watching this on BitChute, then you don't really have to worry about it. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can go to basically look up Sales Cheat Code. I didn't rename it. It's my business channel that I didn't rename at the pandemic. Go to Sales Cheat Code, and all the videos are on there. Rumble's based out of Canada, and they're based out of Toronto, so they're not going to do anything. They're very freedom of speech oriented, which I just think is funny that a Canadian company is out free speeching an American company. And then BitChute's the other one as well. So you can watch those there. Again, we're getting quite a lot of videos. Like I get 100 people watching this one, 32 people watching that one. That'll catch up. But anyway, make sure you watch it there. So Hey, real quick, I'm interrupting this. I'm actually recording this after the video, so welcome to time travel. I just realized that first video where they gave me a warning about medical information about, the video I posted about the best mask advice you'll ever get. I just realized I was literally reading off the CDC and the NIH. If you go back to that video, if you watch it, if you go to Rumble or go to BitChute and watch it, I just was thinking about that. I'm like, I literally scoured the NIH and the CDC archives and read them to you. And YouTube called it medical misinformation. Anyway, I just think the irony is really rich there. It's like they want to sit here and say, okay, you can only talk about things from reputable sources or whatever. I mean, you guys saw the video. If you didn't, go to Rumble or BitChute. I literally showed you stuff straight from there, and they called it medical information. I just find it ironic that YouTube agrees that the CDC and the NIH are full of crap. So, with that being said, we'll take a look at our stocks going for today. Specifically, we'll take a look at movement ranked. We don't really have a whole lot negative. Fuel cell went down. As soon as the infrastructure package goes through, you'll see this one jump up. Robinhood, it's going to be volatile because it's an IPO, but the rest are just negligible. Fubo went up 10%. Man, we're getting close to that. That's only 16% down. This was like 40% down before. So this one we're probably going to sell as soon as we have it because it's not really a reopening stock. So once it gets into black, we'll resell it. Bitcoin Cash, same thing. We're just going to hold on to that one. Hall of Fame Resorts, and really 3%, 2%, and 1% isn't a big deal. 2-day, kind of the same group of people. And Fubo, PVAC, which is an oil stock. AHT's gone up 11%, which is beautiful. We're only down 27 on that. And the rest, kind of follow suit. So, all right. So with that being said, we're sitting here. We went up about $3,000 today. We're at 340% gain. We were under 300% for a little bit. I decided to cancel the Caesar sell just because I saw that price target, and I'm like, I'm not selling it at 105 if it goes to hit 125. So that one, poof, is gone. And then I put a limit order in for $9 for PBF. If you watch our recent videos, you understand this one is probably going to, in June, it was up at $18. So we want to do what we can to, if it goes down a little bit, to take that buy. And if it goes up, we don't have to worry about the buy. So that's kind of where we're at today. Long story short, I'm not going to change what I put on here. If I feel like I need to tell you something that I've seen about COVID and give you my take on it, I am going to do that. If I lose the channel, so be it. But make sure you subscribe. First of all, check out Rumble and BitChute because there's a lot of really good stuff on there. But all my videos will be on there. And if YouTube pulls the video and all you're doing is watching on YouTube, you won't even know that it's there. So make sure you go to Rumble, create an account. BitChute, same thing. Look for sales cheat code on that one. And then on BitChute, it's Getting Rich from COVID with Street Smarts, the same name. So I might change the Rumble one. So either look for Getting Rich from COVID with Street Smarts or Sales Cheat Code, and you'll find it on there. With that being said, we'll see you soon. And by the way, I'm traveling for the next week, so if I do a video, it's going to be from the other side of the country, and I'll let you know what's going on. See ya. To get more information on the Sales Cheat Code, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below. Also, down below in the video description, down there, there's a link that takes you to our website that gives you additional content, some additional freebies that we have, and gives you information on some programs that we have that have been proven to help people to make sales easy so that you can make the kind of money you want, live the lifestyle that you've always wanted, and not have to struggle in the process. And what might be the coolest thing of all is you don't have to put much effort into it. It truly is a cheat code that most people don't know about. And it's a cheat code that can change your life today. So click on the link below and let me help you start to experience these results starting right now.